Thanks. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Krishna. I'm the founder CEO of Fiddler.ai. We are an explainable AI and model governance startup in the Bay Area. Our mission is to build trust into AI. We started, a few years ago. I was an engineering lead working at Facebook, especially after the 2016 elections. Building trust into how algorithms work for products like Newsfeed was very important. And I was leading a platform team that helped build tools like Why Am I Seeing This, which helped the company to understand how machine learning models were working in sort of ranking news content and which news stories were going viral and why was that case. And that basically was what inspired Fiddler. And today, if you go to the next slide, please. So what we are working on is helping AI teams not fly blind, right? So as machine learning is reaching its operational stage, there are two main problems that machine learning models have. One is, unlike traditional software, a machine learning model is a black box. You cannot really open it up and see how it works. You cannot really, even if you try to inspect it, it doesn't make a lot of sense even for the well-educated practitioner. The second problem is that the models are not static entities. They're trained on a snapshot of data. And as the data changes, the model performance is not guaranteed to stay the same thing. We've heard speakers talk about models trained on males and being applied on children, and it can happen by accident as well. You could train a model on a certain snapshot of data and you apply it on a different. And those two drivers can actually lead to a lot of risks around AI, whether that is models that are trained on a certain demographic and now being applied on a different demographic and could lead to bias, or models could lead in quality decay and actually hurting business metrics. We've seen what happened with Zillow recently. So these are the issues that we are trying to solve. Go to the next slide. This is a little bit about the company. We are a Series B startup. We raised about close to 50 million. We're working with a lot of AI ML forward customers and partners that are using the Fiddler product today. And go to the next slide. So what we are trying to build with Fiddler is a comprehensive model governance framework that actually covers both pre-deployment model explainability, where when you have a model, we help teams to understand how it's being built and what are the top factors that are driving its performance. And then providing them capabilities to monitor the model at scale in production. Essentially looking at data quality, what feature data that the model is receiving. Are there missing values? Are there any data quality issues that could hurt model performance? And then finally getting to the governance reporting layer, where a compliance team, working with a data science team, could ask for reports. Today, for a lot of financial services companies that want to use machine learning, they don't really have good ways to share model reports or compliance reports to their risk managers or auditors. And Fiddler is helping bridge that gap between the data scientists and the compliance teams. And finally, what we want to be able to build is remediation controls. So if you do find problems in models, you can actually go and fix them by through the actionable insights that the platform is generating. Next slide, please. So here are some of the problems that we hear from our customers, right? This is actually, as you deploy models to production, one of the big things that people face is that, hey, I've seen a model drift in my production and it cost me $500,000 over a weekend. Or, my team is just spending a lot of time troubleshooting these models, whereas I want them to actually be designing new models, right? And then, if you speak to the C-level execs, they're really worried about, we don't want to be testifying in front of the parliament or Congress about the models. These are the issues that, as you try to deploy machine learning models, as you go from 1, 10, and 100 models to thousands of models, and you actually have to solve. And that's what we're trying to help here. Can you go to the next slide, please? Here's a case study of a very large bank that we are working with. One of the very interesting things happening in banks and financial industry is they're trying to move from quantitative models to machine learning models. And there's a huge ROI as they do it. And it's actually a really good thing to do because these models are more accurate than the age-old quantitative formula. But then there are these risks that come by deploying these models. We've all seen what happened with Apple Card a couple of years ago, the kind of allegations that they ran into around gender bias. So what we are helping with the financial institutions is to minimize these risks by actually, explaining these models to their risk management teams and internal auditors, as well as continuous monitoring of these models. And one of our customers, essentially, they could actually launch some of these high-performing models that could yield them really high ROI. And the final slide. So this is a very exciting and important topic. On one hand, ML ops, or operationalization of machine learning models, is fully on. A lot of teams realize that there's a lot of benefits in deploying AI. But then there is this awareness spreading, the risks that come with it. The ethical risks, the operational risks, the reputation risks. And I think that's what we are trying to solve with Fiddler. And yeah, I'm happy to take questions right now. Yeah. Right. I think post-production model monitoring. So when you have a bunch of models in production, the customers realize that they don't really know how the model is working, how it's affecting their business, and when they want to go back in time and say, hey, why was the particular loan application denied, or why this particular fraudulent transaction was classified or misclassified by the model, that level, they don't have that insight. Both coarse grain, like coarse grain level, and also fine grain level. And that is the most popular use case for us. Right. Essentially, you can think about us as like a Datadog-like tool in the ML workflow. We are basically sitting and tracking all the models running in production and giving like a single pane of glass. And so that you actually have visibility, you get alerts, you get dashboards on how the models are working. Cool. Thank you.